time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor, Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
I'm honored to be sitting here today. I'm humbled to be sitting here today and having the opportunity to be the next, head football coach at Wofford College. With that being said, it's not about Josh Conklin today. It's not about me becoming the next head football coach. When I look at this institution and I look at the place and I look at what this place stands for, it's about the people.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. All together again. Everybody just looks great coming off the holiday. Phil Kornbluth, I know I look good. Will Pelagic.
I don't feel as good as I look.
And the Professor, Tom Hayes, who hasn't changed in 30 years. You look exactly the same jacket you were wearing 30 years ago, same hat you were wearing 30 years ago, and, of course, Brian Leonard behind the bulletproof glass. 800-956-7266. We haven't had time to take your calls since the games went down on Monday as we were wrapping things up with the Gamecocks on Monday night, wrapping things up with the Tigers last night, and trying to get back here. My goodness, what a long ride back through the back roads of Georgia. I made the I don't know if it was wise or not, but the traffic, if you've been in Florida over New Year's, you try to come back north on either 95 or 75.
Bad.
It's tough.
Bad.
So I made the decision at Valdosta to turn and take back roads through Georgia, 221. Well, Georgia does not do a good job of giving you directions.
No.
And so I'm here, I'm there, I'm trying to be on the show with you guys. I apologize for the hit and the miss there for a little while. Y'all did a great job. Finally, what seemed like a day later, we come out of the woods in Augusta and found beautiful I-20. I-20 never looked so pretty to me.
I had the same sensation when I saw the Welcome to South Carolina sign earlier this afternoon. I'd never looked so pretty, man.
You wouldn't try to do 321, 301, you can go through that way.
Thought about that in Ocala. Some people were doing that. I didn't want to get anywhere over near I-95. And part of my problem was, I won't bore you with all this, but we have OnStar on the car, and I have my GPS on my phone, and they were giving me two different directions.
There you go.
And OnStar kept sending me back towards Savannah, back towards Jacksonville. I didn't want to go that way.
Right.
And so, it was sort of hit and miss.
It was
anyway.
bad. It was bad in Alabama yesterday too. There was a lot of bottleneck from people trying to get back, and a lot of orange. Saw a lot of orange on the road. A lot of Clemson fans at various stops whenever we had to stop to get gas, whatever, or food. A lot of Clemson fans. A lot of disappointed Clemson fans.
Well, I want to take calls tonight and get the thoughts of Gamecock fans and Tiger fans now that it's over. We've been kind of wondering, how will Clemson fans react when the big loss comes? They really haven't had to deal with it. They've had the little teeny losses during the seasons the last couple of years. The loss to Alabama in the national championship game a couple of years ago, acceptable. Then they won the national championship, and they made it to the semis this year. And how are they dealing with the just the one-sided nature of that loss to Alabama? Totally unexpected, the way that they, at least around here, totally unexpected as far as how they went down. And then Gamecock fans, now that you've got your 9th win, your team has gone from 3 to 6 to 9. Do you go to 12 next year? I mean, if you are a mathematician, right? 3, 3, 3, 3. That's how it would work.
I don't know if it works that way, Corn.
Well,
from Clemson's perspective, this is the one thing I will say from folks. I will totally not buy any argument you give me if you are going to completely discredit Alabama or say things like, well, they only gained so-and-so amount of yards. That's what Alabama does. I made the analogy to somebody on the phone earlier today. What that Georgia game was like Tony Montana and Scarface. It's a lot of shooting, a lot of offense, a lot of, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like a game that was on cocaine, basically. Alabama, what they do, they are a serpent. They are a snake. They are a king cobra. They're going to sting you where it hurts and then suffocate you and make it look ugly and muck it up. And they had a plan. Clemson didn't, and that's what burned them.
Well, I said there was a snake the other night, and he had to cut his head off, and it took one of the greatest quarterbacks in college football history the full 60 minutes to cut the head off, and that's what Clemson needed to do. Alabama looked like the team, Corn, that 2 years ago where you thought their best offense on the field was when their defense was on the field, getting turnovers, the pick six, the big guy getting what I still want to think that other catch was a fumble. Everybody said it was a forward pass. It looked like a forward fumble to me. Alabama just played right in Clemson's face. They turned it into a heavyweight fight, and Clemson couldn't last the 12 rounds.
I will say this about South Carolina. If they don't go beyond, say, 9 wins next year, that should not be looked at as a failure. But I do think that your baseline with where the schedule is next year is that you should expect this team to compete in the East if you can get the offense in gear. That's a big if.
And if they get health. I think that a lot of the big if is gone if they stay healthy. We saw Drake Davis make an appearance, a guy that really couldn't get on the field. That gives you a compliment to Shi Smith, giving you 2 guys that can blow the top off of defense. And then you get those big wide receivers in there. And I still say Rico Dowdle all around, picking up the blitz, catching passes out of the backfield, running hard, is their best all-around
back. It was their
back.
best back on Monday.
All right, a couple of things to pass along to you, and then phone calls. Let me tell you what's coming up at the bottom of the hour. Give and go. We get to a basketball now. It's basketball season around here. Clemson plays at Boston College tonight, 7 o'clock on the ACC Regional Network, wherever that happens to be. And USC plays, what's Missouri's fight song?
Every True Son, Fight Tiger.
I knew you knew that.
I did go there for 4 years.
Missouri.
Spent 4 years after that.
What is it now? Like, South Carolina has Forever to Thee. That's their thing. Auburn is War Damn Eagle. Clemson is We're All In or All In. What's the Missouri little catchy phrase?
M-I-Z, and your response is Z-O-U.
Oh, yeah. M-I-Z.
Z-O-U.
M-I-Z.
Z-O-U. That's what they do.
I do like Mizzou. That's good. That's a good nickname for a school named Missouri.
I think you're saying that in the
most, I'm saying that
most
sounds
jest possible.
Anyway, Missouri.
You're going to be
where Will's heart remains.
Stop it.
And a lot of his money.
Stop it.
Right? Were you on scholarship or did you have to pay?
I had to pay.
Yeah.
My heart is firmly in the Palmetto State. When you were on the phone with me earlier today, you made it sound like you're going to be watching me more than you're going to be watching the game.
See if you're fanboy tonight.
I am not going to be fanboy. I've told you this before. The guys who I covered and who I watched when I was in school, those are the people that I have emotional attachment to. Other than that, Missouri is another school on the schedule, man.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, USC Missouri tonight at 9 on ESPN2. Clemson trying to get to 2-0 in the ACC. USC trying to get to 1-1 in the SEC. Give and go tonight at the bottom of the hour. Then later on, we'll hear from the new head football coach at Wofford, who was officially introduced today, Josh Conklin, coming from Pitt, where he was the defensive coordinator and safeties coach, a former Wofford assistant Mike Ayers, a defensive-minded guy. We'll hear from him coming up a little bit later on, and your phone calls as well. Now, a couple of things I wanted to pass along to you from what I've been hearing today. Number one, I don't see this being reported anywhere. So I guess I've got to say maybe it is being reported somewhere. I don't see it on Twitter, but a couple of sources have told me, one with strong NC State connections, Elijah Drinkwitz signing a 3-year deal to stay at NC State. He was being heavily mentioned by Gamecock people about the South Carolina offensive coordinator's job. So I think you can scratch him. And as far as the USC staff is concerned and other staffs are concerned, the coaches' convention is coming up later this week. That's when a lot of movement takes place. Keep an eye on Lance Thompson at USC. I'm hearing some talk about him and LSU, perhaps in the works down the road. We'll be back.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
It breaks my heart to see poor old Marty Smith have to pull up his trailer and leave Clemson and go to Alabama for the week because, you know, he loves Clemson. He loves sliding down the slide and taking a nap in the nap room and having dinner with Dabo. It's really tough to see him in front of all those national championship trophies at Alabama having to, you know, do what ESPN does with a particular team at any particular time, which is go in and milk them for all they're worth. So see you, Clemson. Nice knowing you. We're going to go kiss up to Alabama here for the next week.
I spent the whole week with that guy. That man's hair does not move.
I'm sure it doesn't.
I have no idea what his secret
Got
is.
enough
I
wax
want,
on there to form a candle.
I want that. I want that
Hairspray.
hair.
Hey, before we get to not serious stuff, want to give a shout out to our good friend Kevin Cohen here in Columbia. A little bit under the weather last few days, but doing well. Wish him well, and hope to have him back, of course, on the radio here in Columbia on his station very, very soon. But keep Kevin in your thoughts and prayers in the days to come. He would certainly appreciate it. 800-956-7266. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. Another couple of quick notes from the TV of the two games, the Sugar Bowl. Clemson and Alabama averaged over 21 million viewers on ESPN and ESPN2, which you would expect.
Yep.
USC and Michigan had over 5 million viewers for their game on ESPN2. So both did well and drew higher numbers than normal for their particular time slots on those particular channels.
I've talked to some Michigan fans over the course of the last couple of days. They are not happy.
Well, they shouldn't be.
They're not happy.
That's a game, really, though. South Carolina should have won that game with ease. Should have won that game with ease. So many breakdowns in the special teams area.
Really?
It's embarrassing for South Carolina from that standpoint. As far as the offense goes, he needs to go hire himself somebody with a system. I'm just convinced he's got to go hire somebody. I don't know names. I just know numbers. And whoever is coaching offense at Memphis or Oklahoma State or one of those schools, you got to go out and hire one of those guys because A, they'll want to come because it's a step up. B, you can probably get them without having to break the bank. And C, you need somebody with a vision of offense and their own offensive system to come in and do what you want. And if you do that with your defense at South Carolina, and that defense is gnarly and it's going to get even better, that 3-6-9-12 thing could happen.
I'll go back to what you said. You can't see and know what happens just by looking at the bowl game. Now, here's another thing. Muschamp has done this before. Nobody said that when he hired Peace from Boise State to Florida, that wasn't a slam dunk. Did it work? No. Anybody you hire, it's a gut feeling. It's just like I told you. The Oklahoma State offensive coordinator was hired off the internet. And remember, Oregon hired a kind of chubby guy from New Hampshire who's now breaking the bank because they saw his offense at New Hampshire. I'm telling you, anybody you hire is a gut feeling, and there is no simple way to make that hire. It's a gut call.
It's not about necessarily getting talent. It's about getting the scheme to fill the talent you have. And that was the problem at South Carolina with Kurt Roper, is that he did not have the kind of talent to fit his scheme. He didn't adapt his scheme enough to the talent that they had, and that's why they got exposed so much.
All right, 800-956-7266. I know this is the new year. You've been chomping at the bit to get to us now. Everybody's back. Everybody's back from New Orleans. Everybody's back from Tampa. Gone back to work today. We have survived the winter of 2018, the tremendous snowfall that we had in Columbia today. What do we have, 1.5 feet, 2 feet in Columbia?
Oh, no. It's only going to be on the coast. The coast is where.
Well, then they sent the kids home from school. Sand trucks are out. You know, they said it was supposed to snow like hell in Columbia today.
No,
I drove through it. I brought out my snow plow, my blower. I've been blowing snow all morning long. Yes, I have survived the winter of 2018.
Snowpocalypse 2018.
See what I told you? You know, but I'm embarrassed for us. You being from the north and everything, I'm embarrassed by what we consider to be a tremendous snowstorm.
You got to do it, though, because look what happened to Charlotte and Atlanta when they didn't plan ahead. Got to plan ahead.
For what? It was beautiful today. Nothing happened around here.
And then the next time you do that and you don't do anything, what are we stuck out here for? Why? Poor planning.
Okay, let's go to JC in Columbia. This is not our first call of the year. I think you had one last night.
Vern and Bishopville from last night.
Vern gets the honor. All right, JC, it's all, you know, you're like Avis. You're second, but you're trying harder. Go ahead, JC. You're on the air.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I'm a big Tiger fan. I'm proud of Carolina. Poorly coached game offensively for Clemson. They deserve to lose. And I can tell Dabo, you got what you got because you brought it. You blame yourself. That's the poorest coached offensive games team I've ever seen them to play since they have been going to in the last 3 years. Horrible, dude. Spring Valley High School could have did better. They look pathetic.
What'd you think? I mean, was it the defense they were facing?
It's a false sense of security. Number one.
Let me tell you what I think it was. I think it was a game plan. If that had been Steve Spurrier, Bryant would have been on the bench. If we're gonna lose, we're gonna lose this guy. His head wasn't in the game. He couldn't play, dude. He overthrowed. I mean, he could not play offensively. They suck.
Well, not
defense was decent.
Not to totally take the blame off them. They had not been tested by any team like they were tested on Monday night. They don't see it.
He can't play under pressure. He had a defense coming in. You need to put somebody else in. Bad game offensively, I think.
Well, I mean, if you'd have put Hunter Johnson in or Zarek Cooper, would they have done any better?
No.
Against that defense coming at them from all directions? I mean, Anthony Jennings pretty much lived in the backfield, didn't he?
He did, and Deshaun Hand did, and Deron Payne did. But the problem came down to this. They lost. They outright lost the battle at the line of scrimmage. And Kelly Bryant had gotten used to the fact that he could possibly make a lot of what Clemson had break down on the offensive line. He can make a lot of that go away with his legs. But you're not running away from Alabama's defensive ends and defensive tackles because they're more athletic than what he sees in the ACC. It's just a fact. So from that perspective, you built yourself, like I said, a false sense of security. You had not faced the kind of adversity in this game that you had faced all year, even against Syracuse. They faced adversity, but did they ever really think that they were ever out of that ball game? No. When they were out of that ball game was the drive, that not getting a touchdown after that fumble. That lost them the football game.
All right, thanks for your phone call. Let's stay on the lines here quickly, and we go next to Clark in Greenwood. Clark, welcome to Sports Talk. Happy New Year. And you're on the air.
Happy New Year to you guys. I'm a longtime Clemson fan. Love my Tigers, and I always love my Tigers. But I agree with the guy. I think Kelly Bryant. I mean, it's hard to with your composure when you got guys all in your face, and he hasn't seen that this year. Not like he did the other night, but I just think the running backs played very poor. They could not pick up a block anywhere. And it's like ETN's a great football player, but he was like dumbfounded whenever he was in. It's like he was a deer in the headlights. And I really think Clemson's defense played a pretty good football game. And when Clemson was driving down the field and it was 10-6, and then the flutter interception, and they run it down to about the 10, I think that just broke their back. I mean, that's me personally. And I just don't think – I love Kelly Bryant. He's a great kid, great story behind him. But he was a backup behind Deshaun Watson. And really, he didn't get to play a lot back then, which, not many people can play, with Deshaun Watson. But we've got to get somebody that can throw the ball downfield and hit some long passes and just keep the defense honest. They headhunted Kelly Bryant the other night. But
you also have to not get drops from Deion Kane either. Problem.
Boy, how quickly we jump off the bandwagon.
Oh,
Trevor Lawrence can't get there fast enough.
The bandwagon crashed and burned on Bourbon Street.
They're playing basketball. We love that basketball. They're playing basketball. We love that basketball. They're playing basketball.
Now, like it or not, here comes the round ball right in your face. All the dunks, all the lobs, all the between the legs, behind the back dribbles. Going to carry us through the next several months here on Sports Talk with a little bit of recruiting on the football side. Spring football practice will be here in a few weeks. But we're going to do basketball heavy. That's why we bring in our guys for give and go.
We got a team that's ranked now.
That's right. Former Tiger Jordan Roper, former Gamecock Aaron Lucas. First of all, Happy New Year to both of you. I hope you had a great holiday season.
Happy New Year to you. Likewise. Happy New Year, guys.
Good to have you with us. Thank you. Jordan, Tigers, nationally ranked, going up to Boston College. What is going on with those guys?
They're playing good basketball. Just positive momentum's rolling, and they're playing really well together.
What are you seeing with this team, X's and O's, that's working with this group? Pretty much many of the same guys from last year, a few newcomers, of course, but what are you seeing really working for them?
Just the ability to, play together, and the fact that they like each other out on the court, and they have a common goal. Everybody's a lot of times in college basketball, a lot of individual guys have different goals, and this everybody seems to be on the same agenda in terms of achieving the team goals and playing together. And like I said, the guys like each other and they have positive momentum rolling. X's and O's wise, I think that Marquise Reed, he's turning into the playmaker that Brad Brownell's looked for this past few years, and Eli Thomas and Dante Grantham stepping into that senior role. It's all coming together really nice.
Aaron, looking at South Carolina coming off the game they played Sunday against Ole Miss, they showed a lot of heart, and I think that it's something that we've been kind of looking and waiting to see them punch back, especially not having Hassani Gravett. What did you see from the Gamecocks on Sunday that you liked?
I think just that. They came out with intensity. I think they came out and played very hard on the road in a very tough environment down in Oxford. But, again, certain things towards the end of the game experience and a couple possessions make the difference.
As far as the guard play is concerned, obviously Myers got a lot of experience because of the fact that Gravett was not able to play. Do you think that's going to be good for him going forward? Because he did show some flashes of being able to run the team.
Yeah, obviously experience is the key to becoming a better player. Obviously, the more you get, the better. And that can go good and bad. Sometimes you learn from losses, but you also can learn from wins. And I've been in that situation before as well. So I think Wesley has done a good job of adjusting, and hopefully he can continue to grow as a player.
Jordan, the Tigers playing tonight, 7 o'clock, up at Boston College. From your days making that trip to Boston in January, February, whenever it was that you had to go up there and playing in that arena, what's it like to make that trip in the winter, the snow, the ice, the cold, and all that? Does that affect the visiting team in any form or fashion?
No, it doesn't. I mean, personally, no, I've never felt any effects, and I never heard any of my teammates, really having effects. I mean, basketball is truly an indoor game, so the amount of time that we spend outside is all together is maybe 20 minutes, from the bus to the hotel to shoot around and everything else. It's a unique environment to play at Boston College just because, depending on the time that you play, nobody could be there, and then there could be tons of people there. So, I mean, tonight I'm expecting a good crowd for that game, especially with the Tigers being ranked now. Anything
about the Conte Forum stand out to you? I mean, it's connected to the football stadium. You kind of and I think it's also connected to the is there a separate hockey rink? I think there is a separate hockey rink there too. So it's kind of a multi-purpose area there. Anything about that from a player standpoint, that particular arena stand out in your mind?
Right now, no, nothing in particular. Not to say that it's a bad arena.
Yeah.
It is a nice facility, but nothing in particular. I actually do think that is where they play hockey, though.
As far
so
as
I think
Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, I think that is where they actually play hockey.
You mean that they convert the basketball arena into a hockey facility?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Aaron, what are you looking for from this Missouri team tonight? Obviously, a lot of great post touches for a guy like Jeremiah Tillman and Jonte Porter. And I think there's the same kind of uneasiness at point guard there that there is also with South Carolina. This could be a matchup that plays right into their hands because of the strength of Chris Silva and what they can do with Frank Booker as well.
Well, again, I think Missouri is a team that has had to find its identity without Porter playing this season. I think he was supposed to be a big key to their success this year. So they have slowly tried to identify themselves and have guys stand out there. They have some solid guys in the front court. They've got a young point guard who is still learning how to play in this conference, but comes from a very good pedigree. But I think, again, we're playing at home, just coming off of a tough road loss. I think the Gamecocks will come out fighting, and hopefully the results will be a little bit different tonight.
Yeah, saw Booker the other night hit 6 threes, I think it was. So maybe the shooting is a bit on the uptick. Aaron, are you seeing maybe a little bit of a turnaround in that area? You think the guards have a chance to improve here, even though you're going to be playing tougher competition in league play?
Well, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword when the production starts to pick up because guys and chemistry is starting to come together. You're also getting in the conference play where strategy and scouting becomes a big factor. You don't see yourself losing when Booker goes for 21, Silva goes for 21 and 13, and Beatty adds 9 and 6, as well. So you don't see your team falling in a game like that where you have some offensive production. But again, it comes down to each possession once you get into conference play.
And as far as getting any production out of the bench from the front court, the guys seem to be slowly trying to get their sea legs as far as that's concerned. South Carolina, do you see this as a dire need for those young guys off the bench is not giving what Frank wants?
Yeah, right now, again, once you get in the conference play, it's going to take 8 or 9 guys to be able to come in and buy time for some of your starters and be able to get some solid minutes. I think Justin Minaya, I would say, had an off game in my calculations, just watching him play with 4 points and 4 rebounds. I mean, he was solid statistically, but just didn't bring that firepower that you would expect from him. And Mike Kotsar obviously has to step up in the new role as well. But I think, again, playing at home would be a little bit more comfortable. I think guys would be a little bit more motivated to come out and produce.
This might be a more complicated question than the minute that we have left to analyze, Jordan, but what is the kind of team for Clemson that you would look at and say that scares you as a matchup problem? What kind of team would scare you there?
Probably a team that has depth in the front court. I think our experience is in the backcourt with Elijah Thomas being our main starter and Mark Darnell. Outside of that, I think our front court is the weakness in terms of a matchup problem for us.
Probably Scara also part of that as well.
Yeah. Real quick, Jordan, give me your picks tonight for the 2 games. How do you see them playing out? Who wins?
I got Clemson winning, of course. I got to go with Clemson every time. And I think South Carolina will build some positive momentum. That's what it's going to take to, change things. And, just win by win, that's what guys feed off of that. And like I said, Clemson's been building that this year. And I think this will be the game that Carolina can pick up and, move forward with.
Yeah, let me ask you in advance, Jordan, when Clemson plays in Chapel Hill in a couple of weeks, who you like there?
Like I said, I have to go with Clemson, but that'll be a tough matchup. That'll be a tough matchup.
If Wofford can do it.
Yeah. Aaron, your picks for tonight.
In regards to Boston College Clemson, I think the Tigers are definitely on a roll and continuing to build on that momentum. So I've got the Tigers up in Boston, and I believe the Gamecocks will bounce back. Both teams are coming off a 1-game losing streak, so I see the Gamecocks holding home court and going 1-1 in the conference.
Super. Guys, thank you so much. Stay warm. I know you're not outside shooting hoops tonight. At least I don't think you are. And thank you for being with us. We'll get you next Wednesday. Have a great week. Give and go with us here on Sports Talk.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
Okay, back we are, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, our first show together in our beautiful Learfield studios in downtown Columbia for the new year. Good to have everybody back for 2018, another calendar year for Sports Talk. We began last century, the calendar year 1984. Here we are, the calendar year 2018, bigger, better, stronger than ever.
It's ironic. I think George Orwell wrote about the weather conditions in our fair state. You mentioned 1984.
What did he say?
You've read the book 1984, yes?
No.
Oh, you would have to have read 1984 to know about how things are.
M-I-Z.
I'm not doing that.
You said you have to automatically respond when you hear that.
I'm not doing that right now.
M-I-Z.
I'm not doing it to you.
You said it was automatic.
Yeah, when you see somebody, but
you're fighting the urge. He's fighting the urge to say it.
I have no urge to say anything of the sort.
All right, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. I am disappointed that the Porter kid is out, and we're not going to get a chance to see him play in Columbia.
I've seen him play. He's
that's why I'm disappointed that he's injured and not able to play tonight in Columbia. I'm sure USC would love to play Missouri at its best and beat them at their best if they're able to.
I think USC would just love to beat Missouri if they can beat Missouri.
Hey, we'll have some recruiting notes coming up for you in a little bit. Keep in mind, if you lose us over the airwaves, a couple of ways to stay with us. We have our YouTube video stream always up and rolling for you on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. You can go right to our YouTube channel and find us there. Also over the TuneIn radio app. Several stations are there. The one that never preempts us is our Columbia affiliate, the Point Radio in Columbia. So you can find that, have it on your smartphone, have that plugged into your radio. Sounds like you're right in there with us. Should you lose us over the airwaves and you want to stay with us, that's how we suggest that you handle that. Let's get back to your phone calls because we promised a lot of calls tonight. We're pretty much open for calls the rest of the way. This is an SC Wild night.
It is a wild evening.
Yeah, so we'll have Captain Billy Downer in with us at 7:30 for the first time this year. Back to your phone calls we go, and we are headed to who? James in Sumter. Hello, James. How are you?
Hey, doing good, guys. Happy New Year. Let me get this off my chest. Yes, sir. Let me get this off my chest. To put some fans calling in here. You guys need to be quiet. You got a top 5 program. You got a good coach. And the thing is, what I hate about Clemson people right now is the disrespect you give Deshaun Watson. I told all of them, look, Deshaun Watson has been the best, what I would call dual threat quarterback the last 25 years. He's the best one since Charlie Ward. He's better than Michael Vick, better than Vince Young, better than Tebow. He's better than all those guys. And if you think you're going to replace him just with another guy coming in, and Hunter Johnson is not going to be Deshaun Watson, and the kid coming out of Georgia, he ain't going to be Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is a once in a every 30-year player. It's just like in Florida State. They had Charlie Ward, and then 25 years later, you get a guy like Jameis Winston. It's the same thing. You don't grow those guys on trees. Yes, Deshaun Watson probably would have won that game last night, but you can't not beat up Kelly Bryant because he doesn't have the same skill set. It's the coach's responsibility to put him in position. He didn't make the plays, but he's coming back next year. He's going to probably improve. Stop whining. The biggest thing is out of your defense, but that's the beauty about college football. You got a lot of moving parts, and you got these great recruits coming there. Stop whining. Stop complaining. You made 3 national championship games in a row. Stop whining. I just want to get that off my chest. Happy New Year's, guys. Love your show.
I said it on Twitter, and I got summarily booed by those who were around. I said there'll be the temptation by many to discredit what Clemson has accomplished over the course of not only this season, but even maybe some of last season. And you really can't because of the fact that, again, Clemson had a very good year, a better year than many expected to have. And if anything, what happened Monday night is more of a credit to what Deshaun Watson did and a credit to his legacy, because it showed you exactly what it takes to beat a program like Alabama.
And it goes back to what I said before when I said this was a semifinal game. And I tell you what, Nick Saban was going to see everything that Clemson wanted to do and take everything away from them they wanted to do offensively, make them uncomfortable.
Nick Saban coached circles around Dabo Swinney in that ball game.
Yeah, this might be one of the most difficult challenges ahead for Dabo Swinney that he's had in a long time, because he's been able to live under, except for the 5-year losing streak to South Carolina, he's been able to live under that veil of underdog. Then they won the national championship, and now, the expectations are extremely high. They had a disappointing showing in the national semifinal, and it kind of rocked them back on their heels a little bit now. Maybe they've come back down to earth just a little bit. The air's come out of the balloon, however you want to,
They got humbled.
Yeah, that too. But here's what I'm getting at. Now you've got an incumbent quarterback who had a good year.
Of course.
Not quite great, but had a very good year.
Acceptable.
You have got, I don't know, Hunter Johnson, highly, I hate to use the star rankings, but the star thing with him.
Highly regarded
Zarek
by
Cooper.
those.
And then you got really a guy that everybody says is the greatest. Some have said the greatest high school quarterback since Peyton Manning. So how he handles all this and how he handles the emotions and the feelings of everybody is going to be interesting to watch. Now, I know as a head coach, you just simply say, look, the best player is going to play.
Sure.
We're going to open it up for competition. But then again, he owes Kelly Bryant something. He owes Kelly Bryant the benefit of the doubt that he is the starter going into spring practice. And unless Trevor Lawrence or somebody else clearly rises up above him to take the job, it should be Kelly Bryant's job going into and coming out of spring practice.
I'm gonna stop you on what you said. He's a starter going into spring practice. It's a lot of time between now and when they open against Furman. Just saying.
True that. Mm-hmm. And I think Kelly Bryant will be the starter against Furman. I really do. Look, he knows the offense.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying there's a lot of time and a lot can happen between now and then.
I just can't see a true freshman. I don't know, regardless of how good he is. Now, Jake Fromm, did not win the job at Georgia. He got it by default via injury, but he proved that he was good enough to hang on to it.
Jake Fromm also had 2 All-American level running backs.
And 2 seniors. You're not going to see that in any other team. I'm going to put my hands up and say 2 seniors of that caliber in the backfield, because one of them would have been gone if they had not been injured.
I do not want the Jake Fromm, Trevor Lawrence comparisons right now, please.
Don in Monetta. Happy New Year. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Happy New Year, Phil. Number one, I want to apologize for not sending you a text message for Hanukkah. I've done it every year since I've been listening to you, and I have been fortunate enough to have a cell phone, but I missed you this year, and I apologize.
That is quite all right. You know what? You weren't the only one who forgot me, but that's okay.
Who covered the Outback Bowl for Sports Talk?
That was me.
Which one of you?
That was me.
That was you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you happen to talk to Deshaun Gary from Michigan by any chance while you were there?
No, did not.
I was just curious because I know after he committed to Michigan, that he said that the other team in his top 2 had offered him some incentive. I think even Luganville had mentioned it, sometimes after. And I think I know who the other team was in the top with him. And I believe they're in the upstate of South Carolina, but I could be wrong. But I'll just leave that one alone. All right. My second thing, Phil,
yes.
And you just led me into it when you were talking about the streak a few minutes ago. I remember it was right after about the 3rd or the 4th year of the Carolina streak that there were a lot of students and outsiders at Clemson that were
hurry, Don. Hurry.
We don't have time, Don.
Running out of time.
Can I come back?
Yeah, hang on. Hate to break in on you like that, but we'll come back to you. Don and Monetta will lead us off in hour number 2, plus more of your phone calls, some recruiting as well, and the new coach at Wofford.
Josh Rosen just declared for the NFL draft.
See you, Josh.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, they're underway in the Conte Forum up at Boston College. Clemson and BC. Tigers trying to get to 2-0. It's a 2-2 game. Early on, North Carolina and Florida State early on in Tallahassee. It's a 5-5 game there. Other games in the ACC tonight. ACC's got a busy schedule tonight. Syracuse at Wake Forest, just underway. NC State at Notre Dame. Virginia Tech, Miami, Georgia Tech. SEC had a busy night last night. A lot of games on Tuesday night basketball for the SEC. Their games tonight, besides the one in Columbia. Ole Miss is playing at Georgia right now. I know pros keeping an eye on that for us. Kentucky plays at LSU at 8:30, and the USC gets the nightcap at 9 o'clock. You got a score on that Georgia game?
Not yet.
Oh, you'll look that up.
It was early. It was 23-17 Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I'll take a look what's going on.
I asked if he had a score, and he said no, but then he gives me a score.
No, I got that from memory because I saw it on the screen.
His score, he says, is outdated, so I'm guessing that's why he's –
Clemson up 4-2. MIZ. He almost did it. He had to bite that cheek. It's close.
28-26
Georgia. It's almost just a natural reaction. Let's get back to your phone calls. 800-956-7266. And
your bounds of jerkdom. No bounds today.
Oh, is Don still with us? Let's go back to Don. He was telling us a story when we hit the break. Don.
Yes, sir, Phil. Well,
Sorry.
that's a long break there, bud. But I got a text while I was on hold today, and somebody said this was after the 5th game in the streak, that there were students and outsiders that were protesting outside of the Tillman Hall at Clemson because they wanted the name change because of the fact that probably being Pitchfork Tillman was probably one of the most racist people that's ever lived in the state of South Carolina. And I used to teach South Carolina history, so I know that to be a fact. But on my last thought, I heard that Walt, whatever his name is, DEP, I can't pronounce his name, Deftula, maybe it's close, that he had said yesterday that Clemson had lost for their only 2 games on artificial surfaces this year, and that was the only reason they lost. Well,
that's stupid. That's a stupid comment.
That's a what?
Yeah,
that's a stupid comment.
That was a very stupid comment, but looking at the silver lining, it's probably good they went ahead and lost because unless they put grass down in Atlanta between now and next week, they would have been on artificial surface again. Phil, I miss your show. I'm in North Carolina all the time, and I miss listening to you. I miss the pro.
Make sure you can, Don, I know you got a smartphone, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
Well, you can listen to us on your phone. You go download, as soon as you finish up, you go download the free TuneIn app, TuneIn, the free TuneIn app, and then dial up one of our affiliates. We recommend not playing favorites here, but our Columbia station, The Point Radio, doesn't preempt us for anything. Coaches, shows, play-by-play, they have us every night, so it's only fair that I give them the nod. The Point Radio in Columbia, and then you can hear us just like you're listening to us on the radio.
There is no sports radio in Raleigh like there is with you and Sports Talk, and I really miss it.
Well, thank you. Good hearing from you.
Thank you for that.
And we
Keep in touch.
We don't spew the kind of heresy that the man that you talked about spews.
10-4 backdoor. Clemson
saying.
leading Boston College. Josh Kendall, we mentioned the information we had about the OC at NC State staying there, and now Josh Kendall's got something in the state newspaper.
He says, according to a source close to him, a source close to Gamecock head coach Will Muschamp, says that he is leaning in the direction of keeping Brian McClendon as the full-time offensive coordinator. That's a report from the state newspaper. We have not confirmed that yet.
Well, I mean, time will tell, and we always say this. Any hire is a roll of the dice. You never know. Look, when Kurt Roper was hired, as the offensive coordinator when the staff came on board. Everybody hailed that. Here's a guy, he coached Eli Manning. He's been with the quarterback guru coach there at Cutcliffe. He's going to be great. And for whatever reason, it didn't turn out great. Now, look, if that turns out to be the case, then, the thing you like about McClendon is he's young. He's gets along well with his players. The thing that bothers me about it is I think, does he have an offense that is his, that he can install, direct, and fine-tune or whatever you have to do? Or is it going to be the same old stuff? What I saw against Michigan was the same old stuff, in some cases even worse.
But you can't
go
change
off of
that, in a few weeks. So you have to go with what you have. My thing is this. A good offensive coordinator is not a dictator. He listens to everyone. What I said before, you had that feeling when I heard that magic word, Will, and when we were in the press box, which I can't repeat on the air, that somebody was probably like to control a lot and maybe not take any advice from his assistants.
Those arrogance.
Phil, I think this offensive coordinator, if you stay with Brian McClendon, he is attached to the hip of Bobby Bentley, and that's not a bad thing. What it does is you have a young offensive mind and a great offensive mind that we've seen in the past that have worked with other offensive great minds, including the coach at Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps two of your best recruiters in tandem. What did that Bill Parcells used to say? If I got to run a football team, I got to jump in here.
I'm sorry. You cannot sacrifice having a great offense for recruiting. You might be a great recruiter. They need an offensive guru. They need somebody who can come in and put in a system that they know how to run at a fast pace. You've heard people say it here before. Going fast is okay, but you better know how to coach fast. Steve Tannehill has said that here repeatedly. McClendon might be the guy that can do it. I don't know, but I'm not keeping him simply because he's a good recruiter.
Well,
you need an offensive guru.
I didn't say that. I said the bonus.
Well, you keep saying
I said the bonus is it keeps those two great recruiters on staff, and they're the guys who run the offense. They ought to be able to shop for the groceries.
You guys are circling around the same. You're circling around the thing is where it is right now with South Carolina's talent is that the coach who was in charge of the offense did not have a system that matched their personnel.
Boom.
You have to bring in a coach that matches the personnel. I'm not saying that Brian McClendon is that man, but I can tell you right now, we're going to know very quickly if he is or isn't.
What was the system?
The system was an up-tempo type offense with a quarterback that is a run threat. That was the system that Kurt Roper was trying to run here. He doesn't have that personnel here.
Is it smarter to adapt your system to your personnel or try and force your personnel to adapt to your system?
It's smarter to use the kind of scheme that more adapts to the personnel. It's more effective in my mind to not be so rigid and to develop an offense around personnel. Kurt Roper was trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Will McClendon do anything different? He's the guy?
That's my problem with this hire if it happens.
15-7, Clemson leading Boston College.
And I'm not saying one way is right or wrong or indifferent. We could think that Brian McClendon would want to do something completely different than what Kurt Roper had.
Yeah.
But we didn't see that in the bowl game.
Quickly, Glenn in North Charleston. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
Well, I just congratulate a win is a win, and I take the bowl victory. And I'm proud of the Gamecocks, how they played, and they came out victorious, and that's what counts. But you can't have dissension in the ranks like Dabo did with Kelly Bryant and yelling at him on the sideline. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Kelly Bryant may drop the team or maybe go in the NFL draft. I don't know what's going to happen.
No, he's not going to the draft. And again, that's stuff that's in the heat of the moment. That got severely overplayed on national radio about Dabo.
Coaches yell at players, I think, pretty much all the time.
Yeah, that thing got severely overplayed.
They yell at media. They yell at coaches.
That's not something you have
They
to
yell at
worry
their
about.
ex-wives.
Easy.
Yeah, they do it all the time.
Easy.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
All right, gotten tighter up there at the Conti Forum. 17-14. Clemson still leading Boston College in the first half. Going to hear from new Wofford coach in just a moment. Recruiting as well. Let's hit one more quick phone call here as we're going to go next to
Hank.
Hank in Columbia. Hello, Hank. How are you? Welcome into Sports Talk.
Hi, Phil. I was calling in. I disagree with your assertion that you didn't see anything different in the bowl game. And
well,
I heard you
I
last
saw
night.
some
I
things
was able to
different.
get in.
Hang on. I saw some
Yeah.
things different. I mean, they went faster, no doubt about it. They tried
No,
to
I
speed
ain't
it
talking
up.
about just faster. I'm talking about not just going faster.
Mhm.
I'll share with you what I saw that was different. One, we all know, and we said for weeks, that for 2.5 weeks, you could not put in a whole new offense in that time. There's no way. I mean, it took Rope almost a whole semester and a half to put in his, but they were going to have to use a lot of the same stuff because you couldn't change a whole lot in 2.5 weeks. Now, I watched the game, and I was at the game, but I rewatched the game and actually talked to some football coaches that I know that watch the game on TV, and this is the differences that they noticed. First of all, in the first half, when Michigan got those couple of field goals, a lot of those came off of our turnovers and some special teams issues that we had. Otherwise, that game pretty much would have probably been about 3-0, 6-0 at half.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them expected that because Michigan's defense was going to be a bear to start off with. So I think everybody started judging them, the offense play one, but combined with the special teams and the turnovers, that's what you had in your first half. Now, the bunch formation, the first play they hit, remember, Corn, they hit, was like a 6-7 yard play, and execution was there. But in the second half, they used the bunch formation. They started instead of, there was the one A.J. Turner running to the middle, but then they started to kind of football out to the perimeter really quickly to get it out of Jake's hands to get him more comfortable. Once McDowell came in and shored up the blitz and linebacker coming out.
I got to ask you you got to get to your point because I got to get to the Wofford coach here in just a moment. So just generally speaking, what's your argument?
Once Dowdle came out, they got to the perimeter. After the turnover, they went straight for the gut, which is something that's worried, going for the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put up 23 points on a defense that's like top 4, top 5. And with 2.5 weeks, that was something we didn't see toward the end. The frustration from the fans with Rover was he would do something in the first half and come out and make no adjustments when the defense was making adjustments. So you don't know what McClendon can be really until he's got his full time. And he was about as experienced as Tony Elliott was going into taking over that Clemson thing, even if it was Chad's offense, but Dallas says it's Clemson's offense. So I just kind of disagree with this thing of going and getting some guru that none of these players know and then starting to change all the terminology when you only got a year or two with Bentley.
Appreciate the call, Hank.
I hear you. And there was, again, and if you're going to make a judgment off of a bowl game, then last year's game against South Florida, you thought the offense looked like $1 million. But it didn't show up that way this season. And listen, if it's going to be McClendon, certainly I give the benefit of the doubt all the time in the world to try and get it going, to show what he can do. Personally, I think he needs to bring in an offensive guru, pay him what it takes, and get that offense high energy and high capacity. But we'll see what happens. I want to get to Josh Conklin back at Wofford, now as the 23rd head coach. He talked about joining the Terriers again earlier today.
Anytime you make a decision, it's always a hard decision. I had a really good conversation with our athletic director up there, along with my conversations with Coach Narduzzi. And the one thing that they told me that I thought really stuck, they said, if you're making easy decisions, it's probably not a good thing, whether you've been let go and you've been fired, or you're not in a place or you just want out. And this has been a tough decision because we've really reestablished the roster up there at Pitt. I see a lot of good things coming in the future for them. But it was just at the end of the day, it was just too good of an opportunity for me to pass up. Too good an opportunity to let go in terms of not becoming a head coach at a first-class institution. So we're excited.
When Coach Ayers made the announcement, did the light bulb automatically come on, or did you think, wow, maybe that's an opportunity for me?
You know, I thought it was an opportunity, but I have not been a guy that was going to go out there and just pursue. I told Molly, I said, you know, if I get contacted, I think I owe it to myself and I owe it to our family to listen. And when Richard reached out to me, we were really excited.
As a defensive coach, and you're replacing an iconic head coach who recruited only one style of offense for 30 years.
Right.
Do you dare touch that? I mean, I know you're going to talk with your assistants and discuss ideas, but is there a possibility you might go in a different direction offensively?
Well, I think the most important thing is you look at who you are and you look at what you have. And the worst decision you can make is, hey, there's going to be a wholesale change because you may not be geared up for it. It's a good program. They won a lot of football games. Kind of goes back to my point when I talked about they understand who they are. They understand how they want to win football games. It's the way that I want to win football games. I want to run the football. I want to play great defense. Do I believe we can open it up a little bit? Absolutely. Do I think we can continue to be innovative on both sides of the ball? No question. So we're going to look at all those things. Nothing's off the table in terms of where we go, but we're excited about what we've got coming back and what the program's been able to accomplish, understanding who they are and what they're about.
What do you think sold Richard on you?
What do I think sold Richard on me?
You?
I think it was a combination of I understand Wofford. I understand, like he would say, I have the DNA a little bit. I understand what it means to be at Wofford College, but also I've been around and had other experiences as well. And I'm excited. We got a lot of work to do, and we got to take it one step at a time.
When you take over for a guy like Coach Ayers that you said meant so much to you, how much does that mean to you personally, being able to step into his shoes now?
It really means a lot. It means a lot. I mean, I love Mike and Coach and Julie and their family. Like I said, they've been tremendous friends, tremendous assets along. I mean, no matter my stop, I'd always call him and ask what his opinion was on things. I tried to model some of my belief system with him, about him. So, yeah, it's a huge deal. And I told Molly, as we kind of got further along in this process, not only did I owe it to my family to look at it, but, it's a huge responsibility. And it's a huge responsibility to lead this program and serve those players and serve these coaches and this coaching staff and the whole college, the whole Wofford College.
This being your first shot as a head coach, will you be a guy that delegates a lot of authority, or do you want your hands on every aspect of the program? In particular, being a defensive guy with the offensive side, do you let your coordinator run everything, or are you going to be involved?
No, I want to be involved in all aspects. I think that's my responsibility as a head coach. On the flip side of that, though, we're going to put guys in position to go do their job and own their responsibility. I will have a lot of say, obviously, because it's my responsibility at the end of the day. But on the flip side of it, I also want to be a head coach. I have coordinated, and this is a new role. It's a new situation for me. A lot of things I'm going to do, I think, is we're going to believe in the recruiting and really trying to amp that up as much as we can to go cast that net and find the guys that we think we need to fill some roles and get us to a national championship is what we want to talk about. So, there will be – I'll probably naturally spend a little more of my time on defense, but there's more than capable guys doing their job right now.
There you go. The new head football coach, 23rd in Wofford's history. They only hire a coach about once every 30 years. So
did he win the press conference? Did he win the press conference?
I would say he did. He did a fine job.
So he's undefeated.
Josh Conklin, new head coach at Wofford. SC Wild up next.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblut. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
It is time for our first edition of SC Wild for 2018, starring the captain, Billy Downer. Let me say that Clemson is up on Boston College, 33-16. 5:42 to go in the first half. Florida State leading North Carolina 40-31 late in the first half. The captain on assignment with the weather situation here in the lower state of South Carolina. DNR office is closed, so he's not here physically with us, though he is with us via the phone line. And, of course, he leaves a lasting impression wherever he goes, so I close my eyes and I envision the captain sitting across from me here in our studio. Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year to you. Always the great intro.
So
yeah, we've got a little bit of snow going on.
So we had two snowflakes in the state of South Carolina today, and everybody goes crazy.
2 snowflakes. And Sumter, South Carolina, at my home, we got 4 inches right now. There are reports of somewhere between 4 and 6 inches toward the coast in Charleston. A mess on 95 and 26, 378 between Sumter and Columbia is a mess right now.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
How did Columbia miss all that?
Well, I'll tell you, Phil, they closed state government or county government offices, and then, of course, state government offices followed, closed somewhere around 11:30 this morning for lunch. I didn't leave Columbia until probably around 1:30 or so, and we've got officers, of course, from across the state, or actually not across the state, but the lower part of our state, Charleston area down toward Walterboro, are going out. Went out at 6 o'clock this afternoon. They're going to be working a 12-hour shift, helping the Department of Public Safety, Highway Patrol, with traffic conditions, which, again, are deteriorating as the temperature drops. We actually did get a lot of snow. The snow line started somewhere around the Wateree River. Right past it, we started running into snow on the way home, and it was, like I said, it kept getting heavier as I got closer to our home, which is the Clarendon side of Sumter. So a lot of snowfall on the 95 corridor for sure. That seems to be the heaviest portion and back toward the coast. But there's a mess out there, a lot of vehicle accidents. So if folks are listening and you're traveling on the road, or you're thinking about getting on the road, please stay at home. This is one of those conditions you need to stay at home. There's no reason to be out on the roads. Be careful. If you're on the way home, take your time. Don't go fast. Don't worry about trying to pass the person in front of you. Stay in your lane and just ease toward the house.
Okay. Now, I know you're not a meteorologist, but, I mean, why was the coast and that area of the state hit by this snowstorm? Typically, when we get a snowstorm, it's in the upstate, Greenville, Spartanburg, Pickens County. It makes its way, down 26 and through Newberry County and eventually to Columbia, and it usually peters out somewhere in Richland County, Sumter County, maybe trickling into the PD a little bit, but seldom to the coast.
Well, as I said, or as you very well stated, I am not a meteorologist. However, we did have a lot of dry air, of course, right now around the state, which is causing all these very cold temperatures. But going back to, we had a system come up the coast, which is why the water off the ocean basically picking up the moisture and dumping it as it moved upwards from the coastline inland to about 95. The 95 is kind of that break point where it was really heavy snow, but it also did go into Sumter County some. So there's some snow that drifted into Sumter County in the 3 to 4 inch range across Sumter County. So, but it was a system that picked up moisture off the coast, offshore basically from the ocean, and pulled that moisture in into the coastline and our coastal counties. That's why we saw most of the snow on this side, and that is my best, given my knowledge of meteorology, the best knowledge I have of why the snow happened where it did.
Now, when you were at the Citadel, behind those beautiful brick walls, did it ever snow during your – how many years were you there? 4 years, 5 years?
4 years. You don't want to be there more than 4. You try to get it done in 4 so you can get out. But You know, I think it snowed one time, but it wasn't that big a deal. It rained all the time. My memory's there of rain and rain filling up the gutter system in Charleston, as it always did, and flowing backwards through the grates, flooding the battalions, and people running out there and having slip and slide fun with our old mattresses at the time. My best memories are those memories of rain in Charleston and Charleston flooding, not snow. Oh, of course, my number one memory is 1989 Hugo. That would be my best memory of Civil. So
yeah. All right, so thank you for the weather report. Let's get to the important stuff from your standpoint. Let's talk hunting. The hunting season pretty much over. I guess maybe some waterfowl stuff still going on till the end of the month. But what do you think overall of the hunting season here in the state?
Well, you know, Christmas time, Christmas holidays, New Year's, end of deer season. January 1st was the closing date of our deer season on Monday. A lot of folks probably were disappointed if they got time off before Christmas. Warm air. It was just typical South Carolina. You know, wait a few days, it's going to change. But it was warm. Wasn't that conducive to deer hunting. In fact, I sat and got bit by mosquitoes, and it just blew me away. Went on a little trip myself to Tennessee duck hunt. Wasn't that cold. Came back here. It got warmer. Deer weren't moving that well. And then all of a sudden after Christmas, bam, the temperature dropped. We got a lot of dry air. We got in the teens. Sat last couple days of the season, really hunted hard myself, just trying to put a little bit of meat in the freezer before the end of the year with the doe. And finally was successful on the last afternoon. So, but a lot of people probably found success, a lot of cold air, which got deer moving, feeding, heavy. Every time the temperature drops into the teens and the 20s and your highs are in the 30s, 40s, deer are going to move. So that ended up with maybe a last day or two strong for deer season. Waterfowl season, like you said, continues through January 28th. Lack of rain before this time has kind of left some areas dry, but there are some beaver ponds still with water in them. Again, the milder weather didn't help with waterfowl season during the holidays, but now it's gotten colder. Typically, we associate duck movement and migrations, if you will, of ducks moving down south or moving with a cold front that comes in. This latest cold front, have not heard the latest reports, but do expect to see some movement of ducks, with an increase of duck activity, waterfowl activity in the state now it's gotten colder through the end of this season, hopefully. It has been a slow season as far as waterfowl for the most part, but there have been some success stories, particularly with and I want to feature one thing, our public waterfowl areas are draw areas. We talk about those a lot, but I want to talk about them again because even when it's slow on some of these inland impoundments or lakes and rivers and streams, our Category 1 areas typically have a high success rate. They've done that again this year. So if you haven't taken place in our waterfowl drawings, you need to get involved in them. Excuse me. Very easy to get involved. You register in the month of October. You pay $20 to get in the system every year to get drawn. It's like a lottery. Put $20 in the lottery. It generally takes about 3 years to get drawn if you got a group of 2 or 3 or more. You put in by yourself, you might get in earlier, but it's well worth it. It's well worth it if you put in, $20 for 3 years, $60 to get drawn. Some fine shooting areas as far as waterfowl. Don't forget youth as well. The cost of our youth hunts is about $10. There's some great areas that fathers can take their daughters and their sons. I always remember daughters because I took mine. Just like I took my son, I took my daughter, and she had some great duck hunts on some of our category areas. One of my favorites, I always like to talk about Bono Ferry for youth areas. Tom does a great job down there. But our Category 1 areas are really good. This past week, the last of December, top area was Springfield Cut at Bear Island. People are familiar with that. They know about Bear Island. They've heard of Springfield Cut. The average there was 5.1 ducks per man. Always fun to talk to you, Phil, about what 0.1 ducks looks like. But anyway, five ducks per man. Blue-winged teal, green-winged teal with a top in the bag there. And then second, Cedar Island, Santee Coastal, with 4.8 ducks per man. Gadwall Widgeon.
Let me jump in here. We'll come back to you. Got a break coming up. Shouldn't that be 4.8 ducks per person? I mean, it could be a female shooting those ducks.
It could be a female.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Let's make that per person just to be correct here. All right, hang on. We got to hit a break. Come back more with the captain, Billy Downer, SC Wild.
It's time to get wild with SC Wild. Everything hunting and fishing from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources and your host, Phil Kornblut. SC Wild on Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Back to the captain in a moment. Just to update the Clemson basketball game ongoing up in Boston, 38-23. The Tigers leading at halftime, so another big start for Clemson. 2 Tigers in double figures with 11 points is Grantham. With 10 points is Thomas. And he also has 3 rebounds. Grantham, 11 points, 9 rebounds at the break, so he's doing quite well. All right, back to Captain Billy Downer. This edition of SC Wild here on Sports Talk. The captain not with us in our studio because of the weather and offices being closed, and the travel between his home in Sumter and here would be a bit on the treacherous side. Though, you know, hey, you're an outdoorsman. You go into places that are hard to get into and get out of. I'm a little bit I'm sure you got a four-wheeler and you got a jacked-up truck with four-wheel drive and a Hemi and all this kind of stuff. You couldn't get to the snow to get to us.
Oh, I could have stayed, of course. And getting home I could have, but like I was advising, and we'll repeat again for those that may be listening, that may be on the road, or if you're thinking about getting on the road, if there's not a reason for you to be on the road tonight, stay home. It is messy, particularly from the Wateree River in Sumter County 95 corridor in toward the coast, particularly with the snow and ice accumulation we do have. We got a nice winter storm that came through. We've got 3 to 4 inches of snow across the coastal regions and along the 95 corridor, so please stay home. Just use good judgment. Yes, got a 4-wheel drive truck, Phil, you might make it through it, but you could cause others to have an accident just by your very presence on the road. So please stay off the road tonight. But to continue where we left off,
yes,
not to forget, our Category 1 areas, a couple of reports out there. Again, the top area in the end of December, because everybody likes to know kind of where are the ducks being taken, what's the best area. Well, our Santee Coastal Area Reserve was in second, but first was Bear Island, Springfield Cut with 5.1 ducks per man. Blue-winged teal, green-winged teal were the top ducks in the bag. Then there's Cedar Island at Santee Coastal Reserve was in a close second with 4.8 ducks per man, basically 5 ducks a man again. They had Gabwall and Widgeon, which are a premium for some duck hunters, particularly Widgeon. Third place, Bear Island East, back to Bear Island. Bear Island's kind of our new shining star with 4.4 ducks a man. Again, green-winged teal were the top duck in the bag. Rounding out 4th and 5th would be Santee Coastal, Murphy, I think, and then also one of the Bear Island areas as well again. But some success on Category 1. So, again, if you've never put in for a Category 1 hunt, we encourage you to do so. $20 a year to put in for that lottery, but well worth the wait when you get drawn. So think about that in the future. Let's talk about some seasons that are still open, Phil. Deer season did close the first, but our Youth Day is this coming Saturday. It's a statewide Youth Deer Day. Youth age 17 and under can participate on that deer hunt on that day. The limit is 2 deer, and tags are required. You can pick your tags up at any of our DNR offices in Charleston, Florence, Columbia, at 2 locations, the fairgrounds or downtown, or you can go to York, or you can go to the Clemson office. So, all
right, let me ask you this now: 17 and under. You ever come across anybody who tries to sneak in older than 17 to get in some extra deer hunting?
There's always somebody that wants to try to break the rules, just like somebody trying to hunt without a license. It's no different. But for the most part, this is the Youth Day, and people stick to the youth.
Yeah.
So it's about the kids hunting. We enjoy the time to take them out. One more shot at it, particularly with this cold weather this week, might make things interesting. I was just laughing with some friends. A lot of folks would love to hunt in the snow. But unfortunately, I think the snow will be melted by tomorrow evening. But anyway, a couple other seasons of note that are open. Our dove season will remain open through January 15th. Again, with the cold blast of air, it might be some migratory birds that may move into the state, so keep an eye on that. Rabbit and quail season remains open through March 1st through much of the state. Rabbit season has been very popular in the recent years since Hugo, after all of the damage and things torn down. A lot of people feel like rabbits had a lot of places to hide and raise young, and it's just been very good for the rabbit population. So rabbit resurgence there, using beagles and things, having fun, hunting rabbits. A lot of folks enjoy that. It's becoming very popular again. But again, that season's open through March 1st, along with quail season. Squirrel season, another popular season, small game season we have in the state. Folks like to take a lot of different dog species out there. There's a lot of breeds, not species, I guess, breeds that are for squirrel hunting, the mountain curs and spices and things like that. A lot of folks have fun with that, and that is open through March 1st as well. So still a good amount of 2 months here, some good hunting left for people to enjoy the outdoors. Raccoon season, my son's really gotten into that, is open again through March 15th for guns and dogs. Don't forget, when we talk about raccoons, this weekend is the Grand American in Orangeburg at the fairgrounds. Go visit that exciting show. It's got everything a coon hunter desires, as well as all your hunting dog accessories. Folks will be this is the national competition here at the Grand American here in Orangeburg County and surrounding counties this weekend. It'll be a lot of cold weather, be a lot of fun, but coon season's in through March the 15th. So those are the seasons that are open through the end of the year. Like I said, we encourage folks to continue to go outside. You know, people get focused on deer season.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a very long deer season, a lot of opportunity for folks to go out. But there's a lot of other seasons, small game, particularly with rabbits and squirrel and raccoon, that afford a lot of fun afield for families. So get involved, try one of those sports out. You might enjoy it. Along with shooting, a couple of interesting stories coming from the Watery Range. Our Watery Range here in Columbia area continues to be a spotlight for DNR. It's located at 14068 Garner's Ferry Road in Eastover. This range offers sporting clays, a cover 5 stand, skeet, and trap. A lot of folks are coming out and joining us at the old Indigo Gun Club. We've done some renovations there, really made it nice. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 to 5. The cost is $10 to shoot 50 targets on the sporting clay course. And just a little note, Phil, the first Wednesday we opened up after Christmas. For the holidays closed through Monday, Tuesday of this past week. On Wednesday, last week, we had 35 folks come out with new guns they got for Christmas to come try it out at the Watery Range.
Shoot.
Yeah, so a lot of people enjoying the range, came out for Christmas to enjoy their presents they got from Santa Claus. So we're enjoying a lot of fun at the Watery Range, a lot of usage there. Our youth teams, of course, as well. We continue to focus on young people getting involved in the shooting sports to teach them discipline, and it's been a really good experience at the Watery Range.
Sounds like a great place to go, and like you said, break in the new weapon and just kind of sharpen your skills a little bit when you start moving into that next hunting season.
Absolutely. It's a good place to have a safe place to shoot. We're working on our rifle range still, looking at that being open here early summer, late spring, that the rifle range will be open there. Plans are still in the works right now, completing that. Construction has not yet begun, but we will have somewhere around a 16-station pistol range, 14-station rifle range there at Watery as well, and that will be free of charge to shoot the rifle or pistol at our range there. So a lot of excitement building about that. We're excited about it as well.
Well, I'm going to let you get back out and do some snow blowing and some clearing of the sidewalk. Maybe you'll get on the sled and slide around a little bit while the rest of us here in Columbia and to the west enjoy, I guess, dry conditions for now, though I hear Atlanta's getting a bunch of stuff. So if Atlanta gets something, that usually gets to our area within a day or so.
That's right. But remember, stay safe, shoot often, enjoy it. We look forward to seeing you in the range or a field. Have a great night, Phil.
Thank you, Captain. Hope to see you here in studio in 2 weeks. That is our plan, to have the captain here in 2 weeks. Thank you. Captain Billy Downer with SC Wild tonight here on Sports Talk. Clemson up on Boston College at the half, 38-23. Florida State leading North Carolina at the half, 51-40. Don't forget to follow our coverage of USC Missouri tonight on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. We'll be there to tweet and report afterwards. Have yourselves a great night. Back together here on Sports Talk tomorrow night. Thank you, Brian. Have a great night, everybody.